Attachment is a major key in having healthier relationships. Definitely dating healthier. It's not about an opinion. It's not about personal experience. It's about science. Okay, it's about facts. It's not about what someone thinks or how. It's not about lifestyle. It's not about preferences. It's about facts, like how to actually, regardless of who you are, regardless of what kind of lifestyle you want to live. This is just how anybody can have healthier relationships, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. It works for when I'm talking about everybody. I mean everybody. If you can't figure out why you're getting certain results in dating or in relationships, you are going to have some insight after this. Trust me. Let's talk about the attachment styles. If you have pen and paper, I recommend you grab it. Y'all, there are two different categories of attachment styles. We've got our insecure category and we've got our secure category. We've got three that we're going to talk about on the insecure side. Okay, when you hear it, go ahead and type it, put in your notes, go ahead and somebody type it in the comments. Thank you. I love the interaction. It does so much for me. So we've got the anxious preoccupied type, AP, anxious hyphen preoccupied. We're going to talk about that style today. That's an insecure attachment style. The dismissive dismissive hyphen avoidant attachment style, the DA. The fearful avoidant, fearful avoidant, the FA. Those are three insecure attachment styles. We've got one attachment style on the secure side. It's the secure attachment style, okay? That's it. You got one option. It's not multiple choice. On the insecure style, you could be a couple different things, couple little mix and match, okay? On the secure side, you got one option. Secure. So let's talk about the anxious preoccupied type. This person reaches compulsively for others when stressed or scared. Compulsively meaning there is almost no time. There is almost no thinking time between an incident and your action. Okay, so I compulsively reach for the other person when stressed or scared. This person ruminates about relationship problems, like between me and you. I can't stop thinking about it. And I keep thinking about the impact that problem's going to have on us. When we have an issue between us, it's hard for me to sleep. It's hard for me to eat. It's hard for me to focus on other things. I am compulsively checking my phone. I'm checking your Instagram. I pulled up my burner account. Some of y'all I'm not going to ask you to identify if you got a burner. Okay. Compulsively, you open up that burner account and you check in stories. This person is often high energy. Okay. Have you ever been described as intense? Okay. I can relate. That was my middle name. I was very, very intense. Pretty much everywhere. Okay. High energy, addictive. Oh, you might even have an actual addiction, obsessive. These person are prone to, we call this premature attachment. You get hooked real quick. Okay. You ready? You 2 feet in real quick. High energy, addictive or obsessive, perfectionistic. Is that anybody? Hard time being with flaws and mistakes with yourself and or with others. We've got some anxious people who are especially compassionate and graceful with other people, give them so much space to mess up. But with yourself, you're especially hard on yourself. You don't give yourself that same space to basically be a person. Catastrophic thinking. Okay? Catastrophic thinking meaning that if there is a problem, it must mean the end. It must mean you're leaving me. Catastrophic thinking. Let's talk about the dismissive avoidant type. The dismissive avoidant type, the anxious preoccupied type's arch nemesis. The DA withdraws from others compulsively when stressed or scared. Minimize problems in the relationship and start to detach. And a part of detachment is minimizing, making things seem less important, less significant, less impactful than they actually are. The DA has difficulty creating emotional attachments. Not as much difficulty with lower risk interactions or relationships. A dismissive avoidant type, just because you withdraw as a way to try to protect yourself doesn't mean you don't have connections, doesn't mean you don't have friends. You can have plenty of friends, plenty of connections. As a matter of fact, there are people who would rather deal with you because you're a lot less intense than the AP. We got people who would rather be around you because you're not really asking those super deep questions. Or if you do, you're not getting yourself involved and you just letting people talk, but you're not really being transparent about yourself. So you can have a lot of friends or connections, but they might be often are superficial connections that lack depth and transparency. Like whether or not a dismissive avoidant has or doesn't have a lot of connections or friends or whatever is more of a matter of like your level of extroversion or introversion. That's a personality trait, not an attachment style. That's a nuance. Let's talk about the fearful avoidant. The fearful avoidant, the FA, is a mix of the anxious preoccupied type and the dismissive avoidant type. I withdraw when the relationship becomes too intense. Then I reach out when I feel afraid that you're leaving. And then when you offer me the attention and the affection that I just said I wanted, I pull away again. Mixed messages, hot, cold, push, pull with a fearful avoidant. I call them orbiters. You don't quite leave and you don't quite stay. Okay, you orbit around the relationship. All right, y'all, let's talk about the secure type. The secure type balances intimacy and space. Balances intimacy and space. Not hyper independent. Hyper independent, you excessively distance yourself from others in order to achieve at least a semblance of safety or comfort. I'm also not codependent, excessively dependent on another for comfort or a semblance of safety, but I'm interdependent. I balance intimacy and space. I'm an individual in a relationship. Your individuality is not threatened by relationship, and your individuality is not defined by the relationship. Okay, so what did you just hear about the AP and the DA? With a DA, a relationship, a DA perceives a relationship as threatening to my individuality. I'm not going to be able to do the same things that I want to do. I feel smothered. I feel like I don't have space to be myself. I feel like I have to get away from you in order to be me. The anxious preoccupied type, my individuality is defined by the relationship. I am only me when I'm with you. I need you in order to really be satisfied with myself. But a secure type, my individuality is not threatened by the relationship. It's not defined by the relationship. I'm an individual within the relationship. That was good. I feel like somebody should rewind that. I don't know. A secure type, we're talking about developing trust, vulnerability, intimacy, and safety in a collaborative way. I'm going to say that again. We develop intimacy, trust, vulnerability, and safety in a collaborative way at a reasonable pace. Trust, vulnerability, intimacy, and safety is not assumed. Like an anxious preoccupied type will assume trust, intimacy, vulnerability, and safety. I assume that. Because you're here, I just think that we're just supposed to just be able to just do this because we are in some way connected. A dismissive avoidant type dismisses trust, intimacy, vulnerability, and safety. I in no way do I rely on you in order to feel those things. I rely on myself. When I develop intimacy, trust, safety, and vulnerability in a collaborative way, it means that I don't just give you trust and I don't just expect you to trust me. I don't expect a level of vulnerability or intimacy just because we're here together. But it's based on who you are and who I am and how we interact with each other. If I share something, that is intimate about me with you, can I trust you to hold it in a way that protects me? And when you do, our trust develops. Can I be vulnerable with you? And can you create and hold emotional safe space for me? We're developing vulnerability. And if you give me signs that you can't, I adjust accordingly as it relates to you. But I don't shut down as an individual because of you. But as it relates to our relationship, I relate to you as who you are to me. And I allow you to relate to me as I am to you. So we develop trust, intimacy, vulnerability, and safety in a collaborative way. I don't assume you can hold things about me that you haven't shown evidence that you can do. I'm also trust myself enough to be able to give you a shot, to be able to open myself to you and allow you to authentically respond to me, and then make a healthy decision based on your response as to whether or not this is a safe place to be. Does that make sense? So when I say in a collaborative way, that's a process of relating. It's not just like a do it. It's like this is a process of relationship. We don't make assumptions about the relationship because of what's going on in me. I don't assume that I can't trust you because of what's going on in me. I don't assume that I can't share with you based on what's going on in me, which is more of an avoidant stance, right? I assume that I can't do this because of I have trust issues. So I can't give this to you, not because of who you are, but because of what's going on in me. So when I'm secure, we develop our trust, intimacy, vulnerability, and safety in a collaborative way, not in a self-centered way, or based on what I want or what kind of issues I've got. Then I define the relationship through my own problem. That's an insecure way of managing trust, vulnerability, safety, and intimacy. As a matter of fact, you're really not managing it at all.